Checkerboard Square gets hit with a karate chop. The 3J strikes again at the Great Race Place. Things got wild at the Valley in more ways than one. Hey guys, wait a minute. This isn't the last night of points. We haven't even hit the summer yet. I know it's hot, but come on. Race Pro Weekly starts now. Hello and welcome to Race Pro Weekly. I'm your host, Mike Warren. Ronnie Johnson has gone with 3 straight victories at the Fonda Speedway to start the year, and with the return of Stuart Friesen in a Cyclone chassis, would he be able to nab a 4th? Patriot Sprint Tour and the guests at the Fonda Speedway as take a look at this battle for the lead. Stuart Friesen working to the inside of the 0-0 of Danny Varon. He'd take the spot away, but here comes Varon looking to battle back at the last second, but it would be Friesen picking up the win in the Patriot Sprint Tour. We move to the modified feature event now as the Garone's Concrete Pumping, car number 21P of Pep Karate, going to lead the field to the green in this feature event as he looked for his first career win, as Justin Bowler and Jeff Rockefeller along with Brandon Walters would be in tow this time as they worked their way through turn number 3 and 4. Bobby Varon up on the top side trying to get by Ronnie Johnson and Jeff Trombley, but his progress would be impeded by the 20 of Craig Hansen, as now here comes Johnson working off at turn number 4. He'd get by Hansen, but Stuart Friesen in tow, driving that Hallmark International number 1 Cyclone chassis for the first time as he gets by Ronnie Johnson and now goes to work on the 21J of Jeff Trombley. Meanwhile, Karate will continue to lead this one with 17 laps completed up through turn number 1 and 2 this time, as now Justin Bowler holding on to second with Brandon Walters right there. They make a little bit of contact heading down the back straightaway as Bowler would hold on to the number 2 spot. Here comes Bodie Bellinger working to the inside in that B&B heating and cooling entry to get by the 816 of Jeff Rockefeller up through turn number 1 and 2, is now Friesen going to work on the Doctor. Danny Johnson tries to work to the inside, but the Doctor too strong up on the top as he would keep the position. Meanwhile, Hohenforst and the 24 of Jeremy Wilder, they'd fight for the position, but now here comes the 6H of Hohenforst working to the inside of Brandon Walters as they fight for position down the back straightaway. But they weren't catching Pep Karate as he picks up his first career win at the Fonda Speedway. Justin Bowler would finish in second, Josh Hohenforst third, Brandon Walters fourth, and Jeremy Wilder would finish in fifth. Other winners on the night, Stuart Friesen would pick up the win in the Patriot Sprints, as you saw earlier. Sportsman will go to Cody Clark, Rookie Sportsman to Josh Neal, Pro Stocks to Shane Henderson, and the Street Stocks to Josh Coonrad. With the exception of opening night, it's been all Mark Johnson at Albany-Saratoga. Would his great start to the season continue? Start you off with some consolation action as LJ Lombardo goes around. Justin Barber nowhere to go, goes up and over one time. He would be okay, but both of those cars would be done for the night as Ray Horde would lead the field to the green for the 35-lap modified feature event at the Great Race Place, as he would have the early advantage with Brian Whittemore and Demetrius Drelos right on the back bumper, as now Drelos would work to the inside. You're 3 wide for the race lead up into turn number 1 and 2 before the caution came out for the 18B of Bodie Bellinger. Off the restart, Ray Horde would assume control off at turn number 2, and the car's on the move as Ronnie Johnson working his way up through the field. Brett Hearn on the inside lane looking very quick in the early portion of this event, as Jimmy Control going to swing it back out on the top side. He move into the number 2 spot to get by Drelos and then go to work on the 66 of Horde off at turn number 4, and Jimmy Control with a great run would go to the race lead. Then 3 wide behind him, Jesse Mueller going to take the number 3 spot, and now Brett Hearn getting in on the fray along with Mark Johnson, who had already worked his way up into the top 10. A little bit of jumble as Kenny Tremont gets hooked on the back bumper of the 74 of J.R. Hefner as he goes around down the back straightaway as well. And then off the restart, the Jersey Jet going to take control. He'll go to the outside of Drelos for the number 3 spot, work on Ray Horde for second, then look to go underneath Jimmy Control for the number 1 spot through turn number 2. Caution will come out with a right rear flat tire on the 115 of Kenny Tremont. And off the restart, here's Mark Johnson working to the inside, says, "Excuse me, sir, I need this spot," as he'll take the number 2 spot away and go underneath Cottrell and take the lead away as Mark Johnson looking to be well on his way to his 3rd straight victory. Brett Hearn would work to the inside of Jimmy Cottrell up at turn number 4 and try to close in on the 3J as Keith Flack now working to the top side, trying to make his presence known in the top 5. He'd work down, make contact with Jesse Mueller, and that would make severe damage on the left rear of the 43 machine, as that would bring out the caution once again as cars scramble to the inside of him. Off the restart, Kenny Tremont looking to work his way back up along with Stuart Friesen as they try to push for position. Friesen tries to push the issue, going 3 wide, hooks his left front on the inside of the implement tire, and that would end his night. Meanwhile, Elmo Reckner and the 2RJ of Bronny Johnson having a great year so far as Johnson works to the outside of this one. Matty D and Rich Ronca up on their way, as well as Matty D going to the top side trying to scrub off a few positions, but it was the 3J for the 3rd straight time as Johnson grabs the win. Brett Hearn would finish in 2nd, Elmo Reckner 3rd, Jimmy Cottrell 4th, and Kenny Tremont coming back up through the field to finish in 5th. The Jersey Jet has gone back-to-back at Lebanon Valley, where he's gathered up the point lead. Would he be able to land the three-peat? Look at the small block modifieds first, where Kenny Tremont looking to go for 3 in a row. Keep an eye on how Tremont avoids the battle down the back straightaway as cars come together. That's Joey Scarborough and Steve Huff with Kim Lavoie with nowhere to go as well. Tremont will go on to win his 3rd straight in small block competition. Modified feature event would see the 55 of Mike Keeler lead the field to the green along with the 42P of Matt Papello as J.R. Hefner gets into Olden Dwyer up into turn number 3 and 4. Cars scatter everywhere, including Tremont and Hearn. Tremont with a lot of right side damage. Hearn would be done for the night as rear end issues would sideline the number 20. Off the restart, it would be Papello with the race lead as Kyle Sheldon makes a great move on the inside, getting by Robbie Pitcher and Mike Keeler for position. Down the front stretch they ride, the 43 of Keith Flack working to the inside of Mike Keeler is now Sheldon. Going to make it a pair of 42s up through turn number 3 and 4 as Papello looking to hold on to the race lead. Another car on the move, the Wild Child, Andy Bacchetti, and the Garrity Asphalt reclaiming 34 machine. He'd work to the inside of Robbie Pitcher for position as he continued to push his way up through the field as this battle between Papello and Sheldon continued to go very well as Sheldon still working to the inside, but Papello still too strong on the outside lane as he would continue to lead this feature event. 74 of Hefner working his way back up through the field along with the 43 of Keith Flack as that time a bobble by the 42 would allow the 99 of Colby Schroeder to work his way on the inside as the caution will come out for Mike Keeler and Mike King in turn number 2. And also the 115 of Tremont having trouble as he would have engine issues on the machine that would end his night. Off the restart, here's the 34 of Andy Bacchetti on the outside lane. Going to move past the 42 of Sheldon off at turn number 4 for the number 2 spot. Then keep an eye on Bacchetti, working to the inside for the number 1 spot down the back straightaway. He put the electric slide job on him over turn number 3 and 4, and he would be your new race leader. Sheldon giving another shot at Papello off at turn number 2, but it wouldn't be enough as Andy Bacchetti would go to victory lane for the 2nd time in 2016. Andy Bacchetti picks up the win. Matt Papello would finish in 2nd, Kyle Sheldon 3rd, Keith Flack 4th, and J.R. Hefner would finish in 5th. It's now time for this week's Kaiser Aluminum Wheels fan poll question. With published reports in the area auto saying dirt car officials are close to making a decision on Super Dirt Week for 2016, do you think Central New York Raceway Park will be finished in time for officials to hold Super Dirt Week there? Log on to our Facebook page to cast your answer, and we'll read the answers next week. Well, ladies and gentlemen, time to look at last week's question, which was, do you prefer a national series like the World of Outlaws or a regional series such as the Patriot Sprints? Well, it went down the middle, 50-50 split. Half of you enjoy the Outlaws, half of you enjoy a regional series more. Coming up on RPW, we head to the Ulster County Bull Rings for some side-by-side close-quarter action. And we'll go north of the border where the defending champ was looking to get in on the fun when we come back. Reputable. Reliable. Results. That's what you get when you call Rick and the professionals at RCT Roofing. Quality service at fair prices. RCT gets the job done. Just like Nick Stone and the RCT Pro Stock. RCT Roofing, we've got you covered.
If you're like me, your to-do list never ends. But with just one phone call, I protect my home, family, pets, and yard all year round. With Northeast Pest Control's Premier Home Protection Program, I don't have to worry about bugs and pests, and I don't have to worry about harsh chemicals either. Now, how about that want to-do list? Thanks, Northeast Pest Control.
Ants, termites, mice, or bees. Call today for your free estimate.
With Northeast Pest Control,
We guarantee you'll live pest-free.
There's only one place in the Capital Region for you to get the full racing action. Stop down at the Bobco video booth at the track or call 518-399-0937. Bobco Racing Video, the next best thing to being there. Welcome back to Race Pro Weekly. Go to the Glen Ridge Motorsports Park now. Cousin Luke Horning working to the inside in the Pro Stocks of Todd Hoffman, and he would take home the win in the Pro Stock feature event up at the Ridge. To the modifieds now, Willie Decker and Sean Pangman up on the front row, and Sean Pangman takes off to the race lead as he would get out to a sizable advantage in the early going. Decker sitting in second, Bobby Barron third, and Josh Hohenforth looking to work his way up and get his second straight win as Jeff Rockefeller and Greg Hansen battle for position off of turn number 2. Meanwhile, here's Barron looking to take control. Cars on the move. Take a look on the inside lane as Rockefeller works underneath the 22 of Wilder. Now Willie Decker trying to chase down the 34 of Pangman in traffic, but Pangman gets ahead as the caution does come out for Bobby Barron, however, as that would restack the field once again. Off the restart, Pangman continues to take off in this one. Here's Hohenforth working to the top side of Willie Decker, but Decker too strong on the inside lane as Jeremy Wilder starts to run down the cars in the top 5 as well. As Barron working his way back up through the field, trying to get by Craig Hansen. Now here's Hohenforth to the inside of Decker for spot number 2. He'd take that away up into turn number 3 and 4, and now trying to chase down Sean Pangman, but the caution will come out again for the 22 of Jeremy Wilder now. This would reset the field once again, as Hansen also having some trouble down the back straightaway with the power steering pump. Off the restart, here's Bobby Barron working to the outside of Jeremy Wilder once again as Pangman now with 2 laps to go, looking to hold off the 6H of Josh Hohenforth. His cars were on the move, but Pangman going to go wire to wire as he grabs the win up at the Ridge. Josh Hohenforth to finish in second, Willie Decker third, Jeff Rockefeller fourth, and Jeremy Wilder would hold on for fifth. Other winners on the night, Sportsman would go to Jamike Soul, Pro Stocks would go to Luke Horning, as you saw earlier, and Chris Andrew grabs the win in the 4 cylinders. The Ulster County Bull Ring was back in action last Friday night. Will we see a third different winner? Start you off at the Accord Speedway, where Jesse Prucknick would have a little bit of trouble, as where there's smoke, there's some fire, and a tough break for him. Rich Wood would bring it off at turn number 3 and 4, and he'd pick up the win in the Lightning Sprint. As we head to the modified feature event now, Lem Atkins and Kenny Ferrier were up at the front of this one, and Richie Urich wasting no time going into the number 2 spot right away as he battle up into turn number 1 and 2, and down the back straightaway they ride. Here's Chet Lodice working on the outside lane. Iron Mike Ricky right there as well, as this battle for the lead would heat up, as now Kenny Ferrier working to the outside of Richie Urich to take the race lead away. That cars would scramble, working their way up through the field. Chad Lodice still working on the outside lane as there's trouble on the front straightaway, as involved was the 24 of Chris Schultz and Dan Humes as well. Off the restart, here's Danny Creedon working with Anthony Borrego to the outside. Mike Ricky will get out of shape, but he'd battle it back up after losing a number of positions. Working their way up through the field is Borrego and Creedon going to go back at it with Lodice once again as a parking lot ensues on the back straightaway. Robbie Green in there, stopped along with Chris Schultz as well. And then off of the restart, here's Rich Ricky looking to make his presence known. Scott Ferrier getting in there. 3-wide battle. They touch, and the 55 of Borrego would be stuck against the outside wall. And then things would continue off at turn number 2 as Creedon gets knocked up a little bit, and as Lem Atkins goes against the outside wall, they keep it pushing off the corner as Creedon continued to battle, but that time losing a number of positions as this race would head towards its closing stages. Richie Urich trying to run down the 24 of Kenny Ferrier, but Ferrier would continue to lead this one. Now contact up into turn number 2 as going around was the 716 machine of Corey Lowett. Joe Judge now working on the outside of the 20 of Scott Ferrier for position with Rich Ricky lurking, but it's all behind Kenny Ferrier as he continues to lead this one, with Judge trying to work his way back towards the front as the top 5 sits single file. Now Mike Ricky right there with Danny Creedon looking to fight his way back through up into the field, but Ferrier was the strongest with his first career win at the Ulster County Bull Ring. Richie Urich would finish in second, Scott Ferrier third, Rich Rickey Jr. fourth, and Brad Roadhout would finish in spot number 5. Other winners on the night, Jimmy Wells in the Sportsman, Rookie Sportsman would go to Cole Henschel, Livy Johnson in the Pure Stocks, and the wingless sprints would go to Bobby Butler. Empire Lightning Sprint win would go to Rich Wood Jr., Slingshots to Marty Kelly, and Junior Slingshots to Hunter Lapp. Although he's the defending champion, Chad Brockman is yet to reach victory lane this year at Meritville. Would this finally be CB3's night? Todd Gordon would be your pole sitter at the Meritville Speedway, as Wayne Comm would be to his outside as a green flag would fly in this 35-lap feature event, as right away Gordon would take the race lead, 3-wide battle up through turn number 3 and 4. Keep an eye on Chris Steele working it up on the top side, trying to take the position away, as Chad Brockman now moves into the number 2 spot down the back straightaway and set his sights on Todd Gordon. Brockman working his way off at turn number 4 now, and now off at turn number 2. He'd look to take the race lead away. That time get a good look at him through turn number 3 and 4, but now he'd have to deal with the 777 on Tyler McPherson on the inside lane, as he would fight for position with Ryan Soucy's lurking right behind him as well. Mr. Small Block, Pete Bicknell, trying to work his way up through the field as he's side by side with Chris Steele down the front straightaway, as the caution will come out for the 71 of Mike Bowman off at turn number 4, and off the restart, hashtag slide job, as Gordon would go around after the little bit of contact through turn number 2, as that would bring the caution back out with the new race leader of Chad Brockman. Off the restart, Ryan Soucy with a great move to the outside, as Wayne Comm pushing to the inside lane as well, as cars continue to work their way up through the field, including the 42 of Pete Bicknell, who was on the move on the inside lane trying to get by McPherson. He would then go to work on Ryan Soucy for position, as Mr. Small Block working hard to get to the runner-up position. Now going to work on Chad Brockman for position off by turn number 2 as he tried to take the race lead away from him, but Brockman very strong in this event, as Mr. Small Block holding on. Soucy trying to hold on to third with some great battling behind them as well, but Chad Brockman would go on to win at the Meritville Speedway. Second would be Pete Bicknell, third Eric Rudolph, fourth Ryan Soucy's, and rounding out your top 5 would be Tyler McPherson. Other winners on the night, Cody McPherson grabbing the win in the Sportsman, novice sportsman to Tom Rickow, Rob Meisner picking up the win in the Mod Lights, Mark Fawcett in the Hoosier Stocks, and Tyler LaFantazzi in the 4 cylinders. Take a look at the vintage modifieds out on the Speedway, and this is something I've never seen before. One of the vintage modifieds go up and over, seeing the parts scatter. Wow, not something you see every day. Sportsman feature now, Jack Meek's going to work to the outside lane, dust off the cushion to take the race lead away, and he would go on to pick up the win in the Sportsman feature event, and keep an eye on that outside line. Just got a feeling you're going to see some more of it. Green flag out for the modifieds, Jim Whitko and Mike Bowman at the front. A little bit of bumper tag as the 99 of Chuck Bauer goes around on the inside lane, as that would bring out the caution. Off the restart, Mike Bowman would take control of this one, but keep an eye on that 77 of Vinny Vitale working up to the top side, as it would be a 3-car battle for the race lead along with Bowman and Tim Kerr, but Vitale very fast off at turn number 4 would take the race lead away down the front straightaway. Tim Kerr seeing something that Vitale did earlier, working to the top side as Vitale drops a lane or so. That would allow Kerr to work up to the top side and take the race lead away here on lap number 14. As now a caution will come out. Tim Sears nowhere to go, running into Jim Whitko. Almost goes over, but doesn't have it. And from the restart, it would be all Tim Kerr from that point forward, as he would go on to pick up his first win of 2016 at the Brewerton Speedway in the 07 machine. Second would be Pat Ward, third Vinny Vitale, Max McLaughlin would finish in 4th, and Mike Bowman would round out the top 5. Other winners on the night, as you saw earlier, Sportsman will go to Jack Meeks, Mod Lights to Jeff Sykes, 4 cylinders to Ray Beckler, and Rich Appleby would grab the win in the vintage mods. When we come back on Race Pro Weekly, we'll show you some action as twin 15s were on the horizon at Can-Am. And there was also a twin bill at the Valley for the Pro Stocks, as they were in action, not once, but twice.
I'm Brian from 1-800-GOT-JUNK. This is my main man, Tom, and my other main man, Tom.
You never know how much junk you've got until you move.
Point to something you wish would disappear.
Would it be possible to... It's gone!
All you have to do is point.
Where have you been all my life?
We make junk disappear. All you have to do is point.
Performance, quality, service. That's DMC Racing Products. Hundreds of name brand parts, competitive prices. That's DMC. DMC Racing Products. Race to win.
Looking for outstanding service for your car, truck, or SUV? Speed's Garage is a family-run business providing the highest quality of auto care. From routine maintenance, brakes, engine, body, or paint work, you can trust the professionals at Speed's Garage. Speed's Garage has all the auto service you need, plus full towing for any vehicle. For championship service, go to Speed's Garage in Mellonville.
Welcome back to Race Pro Weekly Twin 15s at the Can-Am Motorsports Park, and this one is Josh Van Brocklin would take the early lead in this feature event, working it up on the top side. Billy Dunn on the move as he would put himself in between two Bartletts off at turn number 4 as he would chase his way into the number 2 spot as Van Brocklin continued to lead this event. Riley Gill looking to chase down Tyler Bartlett now in the number 39 machine as he work his way up through turn number 1 and 2. Gill with a push to the inside as the track continued to slicken up in this one, but Bartlett going to shut the door that time. Van Brocklin still way out in front of Dunn, but as this happens, Kyle Dimitro goes around, which would bring out a yellow and re-rack the field once again. Off of the restart, that's exactly what Billy Dunn needed as he pressured to the inside lane and led the field back to the green off of the restart. Van Brocklin will be pushed back to the number 2 spot. However, as Dunn would bring it off at turn number 4, and he would go on to win his 3rd straight and pick up the win in the first Twin 15 at Can-Am. Second feature would get going as Brady Gill would fight with Billy Dunn down the back straightaway now in this second Twin 15 as Bartlett and Riley Gill going to go at it for the race at the front of the field. That's Ryan Bartlett, that is, with Van Brocklin right behind him. Wouldn't be long till Billy Dunn will push into the number 3 spot, getting by Van Brocklin, looking to work through the rest of the field as he would try to chase down Riley Gill, who is still out in front of this one. The 9 of Dunn trying to run down Ryan Bartlett for a position off at turn number 4 as they come off of the corner now. Bartlett going to slide up a little bit. Here's the chance for Dunn on the inside, but he couldn't get it. Well, Dunn. Off at turn number 2 as Riley Gill picks up his first win of the season at Can-Am in the second Twin 15. Twin 15 number 2 would see Riley Gill grab the win, Ryan Bartlett second, Billy Dunn third, Josh Van Brocklin fourth, and Brady Gill would round out the top 5. In Twin 15 number 1, Billy Dunn grabbed the win, Ryan Bartlett second, Josh Van Brocklin third, Riley Gill fourth, and Brady Gill would finish in 5th. Other winners on the night, Mike White would grab the win in the Pro Street. Mod Lights would go to Matt Rainville. Josh Rayolm in the Sportsman Division. Eric Muir in the Novice Sportsman and the Thunder Cars going to Lyle Robinson. Late models also on the card at the Fulton Speedway as take a look at this move by Chad Holman on the outside going 3 wide to look to take the positions away, but it would be all Kevin Cook in this one as he would pick up the win in the late model feature event. To the modified feature event now, up in the beginning, it would be Willie Decker in the 34 machine of Andrew Ferguson down the back straightaway as Ferguson looking for a great run off at turn number 3 and 4, trying to hold on to the race lead, but Decker just too strong on the inside. Meanwhile, Chad Phelps going to work his way to the inside of Decker for the number 1 spot off the corner. Take a look at the 98H of Jimmy Phelps now working off at turn number 2 to get by the 6 of Max McLaughlin and the 5 of Chris Heil, but you weren't catching the X car as X marks the spot. Chad Phelps goes to victory lane at the Fulton Speedway, and he looks like one happy man down there in front. Tim Sears would finish in 2nd, Jimmy Phelps 3rd, Ryan Phelps 4th, and Chris Heil would finish in 5th. Other winners on the night, Tony Finch II grabs the win in the Sportsman. Late models go to Kevin Cook, as you saw earlier. Novice Sportsman Feature 1 to Tyler Thompson. Novice Sportsman Feature number 2 to Willie Decker Jr. And Chuck Pawalczyk picking up the win in the 4 cylinders. It was a double dip for the Pro Stocks at the Lebanon Valley Speedway as Jay Corbin going to retake the lead on lap number 5 here in that number 8 machine as he would go back to the race lead. Keep an eye on Ricky Duzlak now as he would dive bomb underneath the 04 of Chad Arsenault for position and take the runner-up spot away off at turn number 2. And Rob Yetman going side by side with Paul Rochelle down the back straightaway as well for position, looking to crack the top 5. Yetman will get by Arsenault off at turn number 2 and look to set his sights more towards the top 3 in this feature event as John Ruthier going to the inside of Ricky Duzlak for the number 2 spot off at turn number 2 as he looked to keep the position. as Jake Corbin going to lead this one all the way to the end, however, as he picks up the win in feature number 1. Feature number 2 gets started a little crazy. A little bit of a bunch up off at turn number 3 and 4. Stephen LaRochelle goes around and up and over. A lot of carnage. Jake Corbin nowhere to go in this one, as that would end his night prematurely. Off the restart, Nick Hilt would take advantage, but a 3-car incident underneath as Rick Dempsey, Kyle Hosier, and Frank Twing come together on the inside. Now Ricky Duzlak looking for the race lead from Nick Hilt up into turn number 3 and 4. He would take that spot away as Hilt would ride in the number 2 position. Now Nick Stone and not Paul LaRochelle battling for the spot as Duzlak slows, as he was your race leader off at turn number 2, bringing out the caution once again. As the race would continue, Rob Yetman would slide into the number 2 spot to get by Chad Arsenal for position off at turn number 4, as they would ride their way down the front straightaway, and then Yetman going to work on the inside of Nick Hilt would take the race lead off at turn number 2, and he would be your new race leader down the back straightaway. Cars looking to mount a challenge. The Manimal Nick Stone right there with Daniel Sanchez looking to fight their way up through the field. Victor Hopkins and Paul LaRochelle working their way up as well off at turn number 2. As Yetman way ahead in this one is Chuck Dowsley now. Working to the inside of Nick Hilt, trying to take the runner-up spot off the corner. John Ruthier right there as well, looking for another great run here in the top 5. As continuing to push through the field, Ruthier would get by Nick Hilt Jr., then go to work on Chuck Towsley for the number 2 spot off at turn number 2, but Towsley that time going to shut the door as he would keep control of this one, as the 7 of Rob Yetman way out in front wins for the second time. In feature number 2, it would be Rob Yetman grabbing the victory. Second would be Chuck Towsley. Third, John Ruthier. Fourth, Nick Hilton. Rounding out your top 5 was Victor Hopkins. Going back to feature number 1, Jake Corbin grabbing the win. John Ruthier finishing second. Rob Yetman third. Ricky Duzlak fourth. And Paul LaRochelle fifth. Other winners on the night, Kenny Tremont grabbing the win in the 358 Modifieds, as you saw earlier. Pure Stock number 1 going to Clifford Booth. Larry Perez picking up the win in Pure Stock number 2. Jeff Melch Jr. in Pure Stock number 3. 4-cylinder single cam to Jim Williams. And Todd Goldstein would grab the win in the dual cam. Next on RPW, we'll head back to the Great Race Place with some Winged Warrior action, and then we'll sit down with a veteran sportsman campaigner when we return.
Out here, seconds mean everything. That's why, in here, we work so hard to shave them. When a second matters, science matters. Mobil 1, energy lives here.
Where is it that going green is going strong? Where trees are planted so emissions can be cut down. Where clean ethanol blend fuels race cars and waste oil never goes to waste. Where is it that the sun comes up and we put it to work, and the passionate fans are just as passionate about helping out? Where? Nowhere but NASCAR. Learn what small steps you can take to make a big difference at NASCAR.com/green.
If you are a tracker series that would like to be highlighted on Race Pro Weekly, email us at show@raceproweekly.com. Welcome back to Race Pro Weekly. Pro Stock action as they get ready for the King of Dirt race a week away. Some 4-wide battling out in front as Robbie Speed works to the outside to get around the 41 of Bill Smith. He'd take the race lead away and go on to win his second race of the 2016 season at the Great Race Place, and gave me a sleepless night because I had a headache after that, to say the least. Patriot Sprint Tour, the guest division on hand at the Albany-Saratoga Speedway, and the Cobra. Chuck Ebing taking the early advantage as Tommy Wickham goes off the bank. Jared Zimbardi working on the inside lane of the 00 of Danny Barron as Barron would move into the number 2 spot off at turn number 2, and Chuck Ebing will get by Zimbardi for spot number 3. Take a look at this slide job here by Danny Barron to work on the 45 of Ebing. Ebing trying to battle back off at turn number 2 with Fireball Poirier right there. They're 3 wide for the race lead into turn number 3 and 4 as Ebing now going to work his way up to the top side. He'd slide in front of Barron for the race lead. Barron looking to cross back over as Paulie Giovanni up on his way through the field in the number 10 machine on the outside lane, trying to make his way up. Varon now would have trouble off of turn number 2 as he would get caught off of the banking, lose a couple of positions as Fireball Poirier and Zimbardi would go back by him. Then Steve Poirier would have trouble on the inside of turn number 1 and 2 as that would end his night. As Varon's still working hard, and as the caution comes out, Ebing going to tag the inside of an implement tire on his left front, and that would end the race leader's night. Off of the restart, Jared Zimbardi would be your race leader with Stuart Friesen right there in tow. Paul Haybeck and Milwaukee Corey Sparks right there behind him as well, as Haybeck doing a great job pushing in front of Sparks. Sparks trying to fight for the position as Stuart Friesen sitting in the number 2 spot, running Jessica's car here off of turn number 4 this time and down the front straightaway. On the outside lane, here's Friesen trying to get through a couple of guys down the backstretch and into turn number 3 and 4, but he wouldn't be catching Zimbardi as he would pick up the win in the Patriot Sprints. Stuart Friesen would finish in second, Corey Sparks third, Paul Haybeck fourth, and Matt Tanner would round out the top 5. Other winners on the night, Sportsman would go to Tim Hartman Jr., Limited Sportsman to Zach Del Rio, Robbie Speed with the win in the Pro Stocks, and the Street Stocks would go to Jason Meltz.
Chad, tell the folks how many years you've been behind the wheel now.
This will be my 9th season. I started driving in 06. I took 1 year off, and so this will be our 9th.
Racing a crate Sportsman here at Fonda Speedway and Albany-Saratoga Speedway this year. How enjoyable is it to drive these crates?
I like it. Rich Dodson puts a great car under us, and we're racing Malta on Friday nights and Fonda on Saturdays. So far we've had some good runs, and we're having a lot of fun.
Taking a look at the crate division, there are a ton of cars in this class each and every week. How hard is it even just to make the show?
There's definitely some tough nights. Qualifying is always the toughest. I mean, if you're doing good, like we've been doing pretty good lately, so you start in the back of your heat races, and it's just really tough to pass when the track's heavy in the race time. So I don't know. I think the last couple weeks in Malta, I started 20th or 21st, and we're moving back up to like 7th, top 10, stuff like that. So that's
Who are some of the drivers that you look up to?
Warm-ups are completed. We're going to have a driver.
We're always trying to finish that Robbie, in this area. He's probably the best guy in the area.
The warm-ups get done. We're going to have a meeting.
Taking a look at your car there, you mentioned Dodson Construction. How important was that to get a ride with the Dodson Construction gang?
It was very important. I mean, I was pretty much just sitting in the stands watching racing, and I love racing even if I'm just watching, but he called me up and gave me an opportunity, and I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for that.
Any other tracks that we might see you at other than Albany-Saratoga and Fonda Speedway this year?
We plan on doing the KOD. So we'll be Utica a couple times, the Valley, Bear Ridge, probably Fulton for Outlaw Weekend. Maybe Weedsport. We want to try to get out to Weedsport for some of those big races, so we'll see.
What are the goals for this team for 2016?
Championships. That's the main goal. Just consistency and try to get a title or two, maybe.
Other than Dodson, who do you need to thank for getting you here this season?
R&D Construction, which is Rich's son. EMR. They're a new company that came on board this year. My crew guys.
It's now time for this week's NISCA Performer of the Week, and with his dominating start at the Fonda Speedway in the Street Stocks, this week's recipient is Josh Coonrad. Coonrad is now eligible for the Performer of the Year award given out at the end of the season. That's all for this week's show. For the latest news, results, and photos, check out Race Pro Weekly online at www.raceproweekly.com, and be sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram. So for myself, Bobby Chalmers, Fast Eddie, Scott Morlock, Amber Chalmers, and everyone that helps put Race Pro Weekly together, thank you for watching this week's episode, and we'll see you next time.